one of the hardest things you guys will start doing is evaluating renovation budgets. My name is Alex Buriak, and this is The Drive, where I give you guys tips and strategies and ways to increase revenue in your businesses while I drive around. So, if you guys like this, subscribe, share, comment. I answer all the comments for you guys, things like that. So today, we're going to talk a little bit more about repairs. All right. So one of the key variables in investment real estate is understanding your repair numbers. Now, we did another video on this, on how to project repair numbers. All right, we're going to probably cover a little bit more of that, but this is going to be for the investor to understand some of the things that you'll need to do when you're evaluating real estate. So in the first part of it, use conservative repair numbers. And this is what I mean by that. What I've seen over the past 11 plus years is that there are some investors that will look at a property and they'll find out the actual repaired value, and then they'll find out the repair number, and then try to negotiate the purchase price from there, and that's fine. However, when they start finding out they may not be able to purchase the property at the numbers that they were projecting, what they'll do is they'll decrease repairs, and you can't do that. All right, and this is why. So if you're getting lending, and even if you're not getting lending, okay, if you're not projecting what's really going to cost you in repairs, you're really not projecting a true profit margin, okay, and you're putting yourself and your business at risk. So when you are looking at a property and you're looking at doing repairs, be a conservative estimate, okay? You cannot cut repair numbers to try to get lower out of pockets at closing, because it's just you're gonna come out of pocket, okay? And the fact that you can't get that money reimbursed for what's gonna happen is gonna put you back. It's gonna put you at risk for not paying your monthly payments or your contractors on time and things like that. So edging out repairs is not a way to evaluate real estate. Like, well, instead of that, I'll put this in. It's like, does the comps command that? And that's another point. Look at your major four. So your major four for your repairs are roof, foundation, well and septic, and HVAC. Because those are outside of, doing primary and knocking out walls and stuff like that. Those are your four majors that you have to do. And they don't really add that much value. They add a lot of necessity to the project. Your foundation is messed up, you gotta fix it. You have problems with well and septic, you gotta fix it. You got problems with the roof, you gotta fix it. You put a $40,000 roof on, you're gonna add $40,000 in value? No, but these things, so you knock out your major four first, okay? HVAC. If your property, it is September of 2025, if your property does not have HVAC and has window units, guess what, champ? You're putting HVAC in, okay? It's just what it is. So no matter where you're at in the country, if you're like, you're trying to compare properties, and all the properties that with rehab compares have HVAC, you got to put HVAC in, all right? Little things like that, you got to do it, all right? And if it doesn't have, it's like an older house that's never had HVAC, that means it's not just the condenser, the unit, and it's the ductwork and everything. So make sure that you guys are projecting this well, all right? So you can't cut down on renovations and get the same type of value. Another thing you got to look for is your major additions to value, all right? So what are those? It's your kitchen, your primary bedroom, and your bathrooms are going to be your top three drivers to, well, I guess you got a layout too, but those are your top three value drivers, okay? So the most money you're going to put inside the house are going to be on those three areas: primary, kitchen, and bathrooms, okay? So those are what's going to sell your house the fastest. Those are what's going to drive your price of the property up, all right? So when you are analyzing a piece of property, and you're doing a flip, one of the things that you have to consider is those 3 design techniques, okay? And then tie the rest of the house into it. So if you're doing a good job of getting all those 3 areas really done real well. The 4th one is a layout. You have to make the house tie together. I don't want to see any of this nonsense where you're like, well, I'm going to do the primary and I'm going to do the bathroom, so I'm going to redo the kitchen. Oh, I can keep those floors. Unless it looks like it's supposed to be there, don't do that. All right? Unless it, like, you know, if you're changing the cabinetry and all this stuff in the house, but not in the, you know, 2nd and 3rd bathroom, don't do that. This is not, I'm not telling you to like overspend and make, you know, and make things the Taj Mahal when it's not supposed to be. I'm telling you that you are making a product. You are a business person that sells things. Your product is housing. Would you buy this house with this? Like, well, you know, we put new flooring and new tile, new everything in the primary and in the kitchen and in the bathrooms, but the rest of the rooms we'll just keep them the way they are. No. So those are your biggest drivers of added value. Layout. Consider, you know, a $2,500 header to open up a room can really add value. Like, you know, what's my value adds here? So, like, you know, are you going to increase the spacing? Are you going to make an open concept? All these things, all right? You have to, you know, always put your investor hat on cost, but then your consumer hat on purchase, okay? What else? The exterior is usually forgotten. The exterior is your first photo. If you've ever noticed, when you guys are searching for houses and the first photos of the interior, you know the exterior sucks. All right, so you have to, that is the first thing that you do is you start working on the exterior, make it look pretty. That sign goes in the yard day 1. Everybody knows this house is for sale. Everybody knows that this property is being renovated. Everybody knows it's fresh and clean and new and exciting, okay? And the exterior is what does that. Do you have to spend like a ton on landscaping stuff? No, but you make sure everything looks nice and clean and cut and new and fresh. So you do have to do on the exterior. I mean, if you have asbestos siding or wood siding, put hardy up, okay? That's going to drive traffic, okay? Remember, it's like meeting a person for the first time. When you show your house for the first time, it's that first impression. And you're dealing with the irrational psychology of consumers, okay? I mean, I've seen crazy stuff like, oh, well, you know, I didn't like the way that one piece of wood looked. It's like, that's what you're dealing with, okay? And it's not good or bad, it's just what it is. So when you're looking to renovate these properties and you're a flipper, you are having to do everything, okay? Am I saying that, you know, the water heater still works, stuff like that? Sure, I guess keep it, you know. I'm talking about the visual aspects of your property. Now, here's some opinions, okay? A lot of you guys watching very well may disagree. However, I am a big in favor of white boxing, all right? What do I mean by white boxing? White boxing is, you know, you put your texture up, you put your paint up, it's white, okay? The colors are neutral, grays and, you know, maybe little pops of color here or there, but nothing crazy. There was a time between, like, I'll probably get the dates wrong, between like 2017 and like 2019, where everything was gray, okay? Until everything, it was the biggest thing in the world until it wasn't, all right? I like a property where a person can walk in and they can say, oh, I want to color this, oh, this would look good here, this, when people start talking that way, they're buying it. They're already buying it, okay? When you choose your own color palette in a property, you limit the imagination of the buyer on what they want to do in their new property. Now, don't get me wrong, if you want to accent wall, stuff like that, go for it, but make it bold, you know. And when I say bold, I don't mean nuts. I mean bold, like, you know, if it's iron ore, or it's like something that really pops and goes with the rest of the finishes of the house and stuff like that. Don't make this huge puce wall because you like it. I mean, remember, you have to put your business hat on. What sells? Okay. You know, same time of the grades we're in, big chunky subway tiles we're in. You know, okay. When you're picking tiling and stuff like that, you got to go with the 80% bell curve. You got to go with the matching of your finishes and stuff like that. If you are not good at it, don't pick it out. All right, hire somebody that says, "Listen, this is the type of coloring we're trying to do. This is the type of finishing we're trying to do. What goes well, and I really want to hit, you know, the 80% bell curve of buyers." I'm like, okay, this is what's going on, and this is what's going on in the market. And then do some research in the area on the solds and actives, and look at what people used. Okay, that's one thing is, like, there's a lot of work that goes into design, and that's where a lot of investors fail. They get good at the math, and they get good at the evaluation, but when it comes to design and color palettes and stuff like that is an art. That is people go to school just for that. I mean, it is a talent. If that talent has escaped you, this is not the time to build that talent up. If you want, you could hire somebody and learn from them over time, but this is not the time to test it out when you are putting tiling and product up in the property, and potentially really killing your sales because you picked the wrong things. Another big aspect of the property is appliances. Now, appliances are going to be really important to judge depending on the price point of your sale property. The appliances in a $250,000 house are extremely different than a $900,000, $1 million, $1.5 million house. Okay, you're going from Whirlpool to probably KitchenAid or Viking or something like that. Like, you know, your appliance package in a $900,000 house or a $1 million plus house could be as much as the kitchen renovation in a $250,000 house. Okay, so when you're looking at appliances, make sure you're picking the appliance for the demographic purchaser that you are trying to attract, because as prices go up, so does the eyes of all the little details, and the appliances that are picked are part of the little details. Speaking of little details, another thing that you guys need to watch is doors and hardware and plugs. Okay, it sounds, you're like, no, yes. What are your door handles like? What's the finish on are the doors new? People are like, oh, I'll just keep the doors and repaint it. Does it look like a painted door, or does it look like a brand new door? Does it, you know, are your drawer pulls and cabinet pulls pop? I mean, I've seen people keep their cabinets and change the hardware, and it's gorgeous. Okay, but you have to do something that says new, fresh, bold, sharp. You know, so don't fret. Like even the wall plugs. You know, you'd be surprised. You know, the wall. Let's say you didn't have to do anything to the walls. You just kind of repaint it white, and you buy a really sharp, flat wall plug. Everything looks, oh man, these are new walls. Like, no, it's just a new plug. All right, so I want you to make sure that you're thinking smart and thinking strategically when you are looking at what finishes you're going to do on your property. One of the other things we'll talk about is light fixtures. Okay, lighting is going to be very important in in the showing of your property. It, you know, how the eye perceives light and what everything looks like, it matters. Okay, one of the things you should consider is in your major entertainment areas, which would be, it's not like an entertainment, but like your foyer when you walk in, first wow experience. Your over your kitchen, over your office desk, anywhere in your bathroom, the fixtures you choose should pop, should be a standout, should be a definition of the room. Okay, the type of light it produces should match the room's entertainment or use. All right, so a bathroom light, you know, should be bright and stuff like that. Especially like if you don't know the lighting of like when somebody does makeup, go put that light in there. I guarantee you, when somebody goes in there and turns on the bathroom light, oh look, and they'll look at themselves like, and they start doing their routine, and they start living in the property in their head. When you walk in and there's a bold statement in the foyer when you walk in, the first wow experience already opens up the psychology of this person. Like, I could live here. Okay. Does the lighting over the kitchen table draw in? Does the light in the office say, man, like, oh man, this is super bright, I could totally work in here, kind of thing? And then like have the ability to maybe to dim, that kind of stuff. So even the lighting aspect of things, it's just these little things when you flip, these are the powerful motivators to draw the psychology of the buyer, because your job as a business person is flipping. It's like, is not just the numbers, it's understanding the psychology of your consumer. This is what every business does that sells a product, whether you sell a product or a service, is that you have to dive into the psychology of your consumer and figure out what sells. You don't think that, you know, all those shoe commercials and drink commercials and all these things don't have somebody that specializes in human development and psychology on their staff? Absolutely do. I know you don't have that. That's why you get in line with people that know these things really, really well. Okay, so this is not the time in renovations to shoot your shot and miss. Okay, this is the time to get with people to understand what's going on, because you may say, well, Alex, you know, that costs money. It's going to decrease your hold time. It's going to make sure the right things are in place. It's going to, I'm sure you've all talked to a flipper. It's like, my house just doesn't sell. Because your house sucks. And it's like, you know, it looks like every other house. It looks like, yeah, there's fresh paint and stuff like that, but it's nothing, it doesn't compare to anything. It doesn't think, okay. And then all of a sudden you walk into one of, like, you know, something that I would design. You're like, oh, how much do they want for this? Because you took your time to create a product that looks really, really good, and it is a wow experience. Just like when we try to, like, you know, when you work with me to get your money, I try to create you a wow experience, because you're like, man, because you can get money anywhere. You know, if you guys haven't noticed, you can get houses anywhere. Why should they buy yours? Okay? So, to kind of recap, one, do not cut repair costs to make your numbers work. Your numbers work or they do not. Okay? If you're willing to take the risk on the market shifting, stuff like that, that means you got to come out of pocket as the investor. Because if you cut your repair costs, I mean, you're even cutting contingencies, and I'm letting you break the suspense. Something's going to happen during repairs that you didn't expect. It's just an older house that's being repaired, okay? So don't cut repair costs. Your numbers work or they do not work. Focus on your major four. In the initial: roof, foundation, HVAC, and well and septic. If it does not have HVAC, you are putting it in, okay? Your major three: kitchens, bathrooms, and primary bedroom as your lead market drivers for increased value. Don't forget layout and exterior look, and don't skimp on the details. Do beautiful, simple, broad strokes with very, very calculated details. Okay, guys? Well, I'm pulling in. I hope that helped. If you guys want, please like, share, subscribe, comment. You may agree or disagree with me. This wasn't all encompassing, but it's going to help. If you guys have any questions or you want me to make a video that I haven't made yet, put it in a comment below and I'll make it for you. Talk to you later.